and I'm going to run through the reforms that I talk about throughout the book. And could we go to the next slide? So, I'm going to try to do this in 15 minutes, so bear with me. Okay. The Constitution in theory. This is what we all learned in grade school, right? Your grade school civics. Your grade school civics, okay. You have your three branches of government. You got your legislature, you've got your executive, and you've got the judicial. They all check and balance each other, and they're three co-equal branches of government. That sounds great, but that's in theory. Next slide, please. This is what we have the Constitution today. It's broken, okay? So, okay, well, let's start over here, the House. It's really tiny, because that's how much power it has right now. The House is supposed to be the people's house. It's supposed to be the most representative part of our government, and the part that we are taught in school is like, that's the closest to the people, right? Well, the House is part of the legislative branch, and it is checked by the Senate. I don't know if you've been following the legislation recently, but the Senate is passing a bill, and they're basically telling the House, like, it's going to be our way or the highway, which I don't really like the bill that's in the news right now, but whatever. It's also happened with the Inflation Reduction Act under Biden and with Obamacare under Obama. Same kind of deal. The Senate got its way. So the House doesn't really check the Senate checks the House. Okay. The Senate could, in theory, check the executive, but really that only happens when the Senate is controlled by a different party than the executive, as we're seeing right now. So it doesn't really do that. The Senate is supposed to check the judiciary, which it does, kind of. It influences it, right? It gets to choose. But it really, it's just for partisan ends, right? You've got the judiciary, which is supposed to be checked by both the legislature and the executive. Excuse me. The executive is supposed to be checked by the legislature and the judiciary, and currently no one is doing that. There are, like, you know, pieces of the Supreme Court decisions that are like, oh, well, you can only do it in these scenarios or whatever. Like, but they're ignoring the court laws as the executive branch, and it continues to gobble up more power. It's a mess. It's a mess. So what's the first reform here? What's the solution, right? Can we go to the next slide? The solution is we abolish the Senate. The reason, thank you. The reason that we do this is to basically empower the legislative branch so that it can do the checks on the executive that it's supposed to do, that we learned about in civics in grade school. Because, as you know, there's never been a president that has been impeached and removed from office. The current president was impeached twice, but never removed. Bill Clinton was impeached once, wasn't removed. Going back to Andrew Johnson in the 1860s, he was impeached, he wasn't removed. Nixon probably would have been removed, but we don't know. They never had a chance to vote because he quit. Anyway, the Senate basically prevents the House from checking the executive. It's unfair represented from a democracy point, obviously, but that's kind of not the point here. This will also make it easier to check the judiciary because it's just one branch and it's the closest one to the people. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. So this is what the new structure of the government would look like, where you have the House, which has more power, and the checks and balances are working as they were supposed to, as we all learned. But the House needs reform as well. Okay, next slide, please. So we got to increase the size of the House. A lot of people are in favor of this. I propose 695 seats. Why 695 seats? That seems kind of random. Perhaps. It's random, but it's not, because it is the cube root of the population of the United States. Cube root, for those who are not math aficionados, is if you multiply 695 by itself, and then by itself again, you get the population of the United States, which is about 330 million, or at least it was in 2020. And as you can see from this chart, the orange line here is the historic number of representatives that the House had. The green line is what the House would have had if it had been the cube root of the population the whole time. And then blue is our population. what happened here? Well, in 1920, the House didn't like how the new apportionment was going to be, and so they locked it at 435, and it stayed there ever since, even as our population has more than tripled. Next slide, please. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to redraw all the congressional districts as multi-member districts, which is what I did in the book. That's about half the book. This is the map that I made. If you want to know about the methodology of how I did it, you can read chapter 7, or we could talk about it a little bit in the Q&A. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, what does multi-member districts mean? Okay, this is a proportional representative voting system. Basically, you take ranked choice voting. Ooh, we have a snafu with this. That's fine. Okay, so you've got ranked choice voting. Normally, you have one winner. We have multiple winners. So in this chart, if you have one winner, you have to need 50% of the vote. If you have two winners, you need 33% of the vote. Three winners, you need 25%. What this means is that if you have a 5-member district, you only need 17% of the vote down there. And that makes it almost inevitable that alternative parties are going to win, at least some representation. Here in Seattle, very blue, very democratic, right? If we had 5 members elected in the city of Seattle in this system, there'd be a socialist elected with 17%, easy. There'd probably be a Republican too. So you'd get a socialist, you'd get a Republican, you'd get a Democrat, maybe you get a Green Party, I don't know. People can get creative. But the point is that alternative parties are inevitable. The other thing with this is that the larger population in each district makes it impossible to gerrymander. You can't do it. Because if you gerrymander it, we're going to make it so that there's less than 17% of a party in a district, good luck. You can't do that. With 2.5 million people in a district, it's basically impossible. And even then, you're going to get, within that coalition of the dominant party, you're going to get fractures. So, next slide, please. Okay, so I took that map and I did some analysis, and I came up with, okay, let's imagine a 4-party system. So green is the progressives, blue is the Democrats, red is the Republicans, yellow is the Libertarians, and then the light blue, purple, and orange are competitive in between those respective parties. And this is a very simple 4-party system, left to right scale. That's not how it really works in practice, but for analysis purposes, this is what we did. The second thing, so because of how many districts are competitive nationwide and the size of the districts, you end up with over 80% of people would be voting in a competitive district. One of the things that I can't stand about living in Seattle is that my vote doesn't really matter because Pramila Jayapal is going to win with 85% of the vote and it doesn't matter. And that's annoying to me. I would like my vote to matter. And so 80% chance of my vote mattering, that's pretty cool. Okay, next slide, please. What does this look like in practice? Okay, gerrymandering, for people who don't know what gerrymandering is, it's where they draw the lines all funky so that you get like red and blue, and you basically get to choose who wins each district. In Texas has 38 districts. The only one competitive in 2024 was that one. 1 out of 38, that's bad. Okay, this is what my map would look like for Texas. And the boxes correspond to the party that I think would win in a 5-member district in Texas. You'll notice this is a very rural part of Texas. It's represented all in red except for El Paso over there. In this one, you get 2 Republicans, probably a Libertarian, and 2 Democrats. In this one, 2 Republicans, a Libertarian, maybe another Libertarian, and a Democrat. You get some rural Democrats. That'd be great. Let's go to the next slide. Let's take a close look. Okay, this is Austin and San Antonio. It's gerrymandered to hell. Look at this. This is the same district that connects Austin to San Antonio. Why? Why? It's terrible. No one would draw it like that. This is my version. Look at that. Whoa, much better, much nicer. And look at this. You even get some Republicans and Libertarians in these cities. That'd be great. Okay, we're just gonna, I'm harping on Texas, but really everyone does this. Illinois is like the worst, it's Illinois and Maryland are the worst Democratic states that do this. But Texas is a fun map, so that's why we're doing it. Next slide, please. We're just going through all the cities. Okay, Houston, same thing. Houston is blue here, red outside, but that's just how they've drawn it that way. This version, look at this. Houston is basically its own district. Houston's a huge city, right? You could end up with a progressive, a Democrat, and a Republican, and then 2 more seats would be competitive between those parties. So you get multiple parties winning, the chance of a fourth party winning, that's pretty cool. Let's go to the next slide. This is the last one. Dallas-Fort Worth, same thing. Look at how messed up these districts are. It's crazy. This is much nicer. The county lines in Texas are basically squares. And so it was nice. The populations were actually pretty convenient with how big the squares are. So again, multiple parties in Texas, it'd be great. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, we're speeding through. The whole book is designed to get us out of two-party thinking to multi-party thinking. Okay, so we just did 4 parties on a left-right to scale political spectrum. Okay, what would a multi-party system look like in Washington State, where we are? This is redrawn Washington State maps, legislative districts. I did the same thing that I did nationally, but for the state. Let's go to the next slide, please. I don't know what the title said. Okay, but it's basically 6-party system. Let's imagine we have 6 parties in Washington State. Basically, let's say the Democratic Party fractures into 3 parties. We've got the New Democrats, those are like your centrist Dems. We've got the Social Democrats, your progressive Dems. And we've got the Greens, your environmentalists. Small but mighty, that's where I would be. And let's say the Republican Party also fractured into 3 parties. We've got your Reform Conservatives, these are your business moderate types. You got your Libertarians, you know them. And you got your America First, woo! Okay, now what's fun about this is there's not really any reason why the coalitions are as they are. Like, the 2-party system has us thinking that, oh, because I'm an environmentalist, I also have to be pro-LGBTQ. You should be, but like, it's just the point, right? Let's go to the next slide. The point is, the point is we can have different coalitions. Look, okay, so right now the center-left coalition is the dominant coalition in Washington. About 55%, 54%, right? That's basically your Democratic Party. But you could have a centrist coalition. You could have the business conservatives could be like, hey, social and New Democrats, what if you worked with us? We'll be less annoying than the Greens, and you'll have a bigger majority, and we can kind of run stuff. And maybe the social and New Dems are like, yeah, they are pretty annoying. Let's do that. Okay. You could have a centrist center-right party where the New Democrats could be like, these progressives are really annoying, and the Greens, oh my God, let's just do some businessy stuff and kind of leave that other stuff aside. You could have a right-wing party. That's basically the Republican Party today. But then you could also have some stuff that just like really is bizarre in our 2-party thinking, right? This is my favorite one, environmental futurism. You could have the Greens, the Social Dems, and the Libertarians come together. A lot of my thinking about LGBTQ issues is from a libertarian logic. Basically, like, you do you, I do me, like, it's all good. Let's all live together. Let's be happy. Maybe they could find common ground once we're out of the 2-party system. And of course, right now, these coalitions wouldn't be a majority, but maybe that changes in the future. And then lastly, you've got the avocado coalition. These are basically eco-fascists, okay? So you got the Greens, you got America First, and you got the Libertarians. These people would be like, Washington State for Washington State only, everybody else get out, and we're going to like destroy the economy, but it's going to be green and it's going to be an environmental future for everyone that lives here right now and never any more people. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Other reforms in the book that we don't have time to get into right now because I don't want to talk for forever. Popular vote for president, pretty simple. Let's just do it. Electoral college is terrible. 60% of Congress to impeach the president. Right now it's 2/3. It's too hard. It's just too hard. A check that has never been exercised, it's not a check. And 60% is still a lot, It's not majoritarian. Like, an issue with parliamentary governments is that you get 51% and they're just like, the prime minister sucks, we're voting no confidence out. I think that's too easy. And the court, oh my God. The Supreme Court drives me crazy. Let's expand the court to 21 justices. 1 21-year term, that's long enough. It's 20 years, that's great. And that's effectively a lifetime tenure if you get appointed when you're 65 or 70, like some of these people are. And then 1 justice appointed every year. So if you had 21 justices, each president could get 4 appointees, 1 per year, consistent, regular. And the point about having 21 justices is that not every single justice is a life or death matter where, oh my God, we're giving this person control of the moral authority of our country for 40 years, and there's only 9 of them, and it just makes everybody freak out. And so we just gotta lower the temperature, okay? 21 justices lowers the temperature. Okay, next slide, and I have to grab my notes for this one. So the first time I saw an upside down American flag, I was actually at a play with Brendan when we lived together like 10 years ago, something like that. And I don't remember anything about the play other than at the end, the actors, the characters kind of like broke the fourth wall and they just like were decrying the imperial US or some leftist something, you know? And it was an upside down American flag, and I was like really taken aback by that. I was like, whoa, that was a statement. And it's a statement of distress. That's what it is. Flags are powerful symbols. On the cover of my book, there are 3 American flags. There's an American flag here. This flag is upside down. And that's because we're in distress right now. A lot of people are comparing what's happening right now to Germany in the 1930s. That's relevant, but that's not what I want to talk about. What's happening right now is reminiscent of stuff that's happened in our history, specifically Japanese internment in the 1940s and the Fugitive Slave Act in the 1850s. I don't want to talk about that a lot, but I just want to put that out there because to not say anything would be unconscionable. What should we do about that? I don't have all the answers, unfortunately. What I would say is that we need to learn from the abolitionists of old who built a movement over decades to do what they did and accomplish what they accomplished. It was a wide-ranging coalition. The Republican Party was founded on anti-slavery, regardless of what it has become today. That's how it was founded. That was the only thing. You could have an opinion on anything else you wanted. It could be anything else. As long as you were anti-slavery, you were welcome in the Republican Party in 1858 or whatever. So that's it. The book is trying to address the long-term structural issues because what's happening now is the acute form of the distress that our country has been in for decades, longer than I've been alive. And thank you for listening to me. This is, if you want to know more of the details, buy the book, read the book, it's all there. I'm happy to take some questions and have some discussion. Thank you.